Today we're talking about a strategy that many real estate owners, business owners, and even financial professionals are still unfamiliar with: the structured installment sale. For many people, the hardest part of selling an appreciated asset is not necessarily finding a buyer, it's figuring out what to do with the tax bill. If you own real estate, a business, or another highly appreciated asset, selling outright can create a large capital gains tax liability in a single year. Between federal capital gains taxes, state taxes, and the net investment income tax, that tax hit can be significant enough to make someone delay selling altogether. A structured installment sale, often referred to as an SIS, is designed to help people solve that problem. At a high level, it allows a seller to receive a part or all of their sale proceeds over time, instead of taking everything in a lump sum at closing. By spreading those payments out, the seller may also spread the recognition of capital gains over multiple years, rather than realizing the entire gain in the year of the sale. However, this strategy may not be a solution for everybody, so to help us unpack how this works in the real world, we're joined by Dudek, who specializes in structured installment sales and works with sellers, advisors, and tax professionals on these types of transactions.
Thanks for coming on, John.
Sure, absolutely. So I have a background in insurance, and found myself in the field of settlement consulting. So this is kind of a roundabout way to explain how I got into the structured installment sale world. But started doing settlement consulting, where we help plaintiff attorneys and their clients who are receiving large legal settlements um, do planning around the settlement event that happens. So a lot of times clients need money for ongoing care in a personal injury settlement. They've got ongoing medical needs. And so instead of taking their settlement in a lump sum, there's a vehicle called the structured settlement. I'm sure many people have heard of it, that allows them to take their money over time and have it earn interest over a long period of time in a tax efficient way to make sure there's enough money there to take care of all their needs. And so by getting into that field, I found that the structured settlement not only could be used for a legal settlement, but also for the deferral of capital gains taxes in the sale of an asset. Um, the structured installment sale was created in early 2000s by Allstate Life Insurance Company. And the more I read about it, the more I learned about it, it just kind of fascinated me that this was not more of a household item that people use. Everyone knows the 1031 exchange and some other strategies like that, but got me excited about it, and I've dove in and kind of made it my personal passion project ever since.
Okay, so to jump right into structured installment sales, what are they and how do they work?
Yeah, absolutely. So a structured installment sale follows the tenets of IRS Code 453, which talk about the a traditional installment sale, the installment method of accounting. And essentially what it is, if somebody wants to sell an asset that has appreciated and has a capital gains tax exposure, this allows them to take the money over time as opposed to in one lump sum. And why would anybody want to take money over time? The reason is to spread out, defer, and in a lot of cases, lower capital gains taxes when you're selling an asset. So we're talking any type of real estate. That can be commercial investment property, it can be your primary residence, it can be vacant land, be a 4-unit multifamily, doesn't matter. If that asset has appreciated over time, you're going to owe taxes on the amount it's gained. So this allows you take money over time, spread out your capital gains taxes, and hopefully pay a lot less in the end. Now, a traditional installment sale is one that is just between a two-party system, between the buyer and the seller. Justin, I'm going to buy your property. You don't want to pay all the capital gains in year one, so I'm going to pay you out over 10 years. We're going to negotiate on some sort of interest rate. Seller carryback, owner financing, those are all forms of a traditional installment sale. A structured installment sale is one where the buyer makes a lump sum payment at the beginning, and a third party is brought in, and that third party is a A+ rated life insurance carrier, where the life insurance carrier now, the buyer makes the lump sum payment up front. Money goes to the life insurance carrier, which then issues an annuity, which pays out the seller over a number of years. And what this does is really give the seller a little bit more security and comfort that they're going to be paid out over the life of that installment note, as opposed to hoping that John Dudek makes those payments or some John Doe. Now you've got a company like MetLife that's been in business for over 150 years that's going to be making those payments and hopefully gives you lets you sleep at night a little bit better.
Great. Yeah, that's important. So next, at what point do you actually pay taxes on the sale?
Yeah, absolutely. So the money gets paid over time, and you only realize a proportional amount of that capital gain in the year that you receive it. The very basic example I give all the time, if you had a property that had $1 million of capital gains exposure, so you bought it for 1 million, you're selling it for 2 million, you pay taxes on that $1 million. You do it in a lump sum, you're going to be paying close to the maximum, which in California is 37.1% in taxes on that. Uh, if you spread that out over 10 years, now you pay taxes on the money, but you only are subject to the proportional amount. So you've got $100,000 each year that would be subject to capital gains taxes. And in a lot of cases, that's going to put you in a much, much lower bracket. Not to mention the fact that you've held on to all those tax dollars that you would have given to the government in year one. And now that money is earning interest and compounding over time, which helps you pay the taxes when you eventually have to do it.
That's great. Yeah, that's helpful. So wondering though, how does a structured installment sale differ from a traditional installment sale?
Yeah, so the traditional installment sale is a two-party transaction. It's between a buyer and a seller. Buyer and the seller come up with some arrangement that say, I'm going to pay you out over time for this, for your asset, whether it's a real estate, whether it's business. I'm going to pay you over time. We're going to negotiate what that time period is. We're going to negotiate if there's going to be any sort of interest rate. And so you're relying on me, the buyer, to make payments to the seller over 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, whatever. The structured installment sale introduces a third party to the transaction, and that is an A+ rated life insurance carrier that is there to provide security to the seller. And essentially, the difference now is instead of buyer making payments over the lifetime of the installment note, the buyer puts all their money up front. So the buyer makes their payment, they take ownership of the asset, whether it's business or property, they take ownership right away. The money goes to the life insurance carrier, which then issues an annuity that pays out the seller over a period of time that's been pre-negotiated ahead of time. So the seller knows exactly what they're going to get, but now they're just being paid by an insurance carrier instead of by the buyer, which again, most of the carriers we work with are going to be A or A+ rated. They're highly regulated. So we know that there's going to be capital reserves and gives the seller a lot more security in that transaction.
So does the structured installment sale differ from other tax strategies like a 1031 exchange or a DST opportunity zone or 721 exchange?
So those strategies are all great strategies for certain situations. The big difference is that with those are exchange strategies. So you're kind of kicking the can down the road. You're saying, I'm going to take a property that I currently have and I'm going to exchange it into another property or properties. Or in the case of DST, you're kind of in a trust with a bunch of other people that own a group of properties. So you're still an owner of real estate when you're doing those transactions and you're holding on to your basis, you're kicking it down the road. The structured installment sale, you're actually selling the asset. So you're liquidating it and you're just, instead of taking the taxes all at once, you're taking it in chunks over a period of time. So it's a really good strategy for people that really don't want to have the risk of being a real estate owner anymore. They may have bought 10, 20, 30 years ago. They've done very well on their property and now they just kind of want to, reap the rewards of their good investing and do it in a tax efficient way. Another big difference between these strategies is for one specific real estate type, which is your primary residence, you cannot do a 1031 exchange for your primary residence. You can't do a DST, all these other strategies. So the structured installment sale allows you to do that if you have capital gains over and above the primary residence exclusion, which I think is really great way for people to looking to downsize, looking to move out of California, if they don't need all that liquidity right away. Great way to exit your primary residence without taking a huge tax hit.
Yeah, absolutely. So in what situations would a structured installment sale not be the best tool?
Yeah, so if you're looking at estate planning and if you're looking at legacy, what I just mentioned before, the fact that you don't get a step up in basis, and I don't want to get too technical with this, but obviously if you do 1031 exchange or some of these other strategies, and the parents or one parent passes away, there's a step up in basis which allows the surviving spouse or children or heir, whoever, to sell the asset and have no taxable event. In the structured installment sale, you're making the sale. There's going to be a tax event. It's just going to be spread out and hopefully mitigated. So for people that are looking to hold on to properties for their kids or grandkids or whoever, this may not be the best strategy.
Yeah, and perhaps if someone's terminally ill, it probably wouldn't be a good fit either, given that they're probably going to receive that step up in basis relatively soon.
Yeah, and another group of people that probably is not the best is somebody who is selling one property and looking to go selling a home and moving to another home, for example. They need all that liquidity right away. They need to put that into their next home. They don't have the luxury of taking the sale proceeds over, a number of years. So it's really for people that are looking to that do not need liquidity right now. It's a great retirement vehicle. For people that are selling a business, it's kind of like the new pension. If you're looking to use your business, turn it into a pension, do it in a tax efficient way. But if you need that immediate liquidity, probably not the best option for you.
Understood. So, this has been around for decades. Why do more people not know about a structured installment sale at this point?
Yeah, the problem, no, I shouldn't say the problem. The reason for that is really how it's being distributed to the public. As I mentioned at the beginning in my intro, this spawned out of the structured settlement, the legal settlement community. And because of that, there's a very small group of people that are able to provide this to the public, that have the contracts with the insurance carriers and to market it. Because of the complexity with the tax code, the carriers don't want to offer this to just any insurance broker or any financial advisor throughout the country. So right now, there's a very small subset of people that are in the settlement planning space that have access to this product, and there's just not a ton of them that have decided to spend a lot of time marketing it and bringing it to the public. Um, Another reason that I've been told that it got popular in the early 2000s when it was first created, and then in 2008 there was a huge real estate market crash where there was a ton of real estate assets out there that had appreciated. They'd all gone down in value, so there wasn't really a big market for it, and it kind of just went away. And it's really just gained steam in the last 5, 6, 7 years with a few more insurance carriers getting into the market, doing the research, and really trying to bring this to the public.
Yeah, it's really beneficial. Glad that to move in that direction. So, do you need to invest all of your sales proceeds into a structured installment sale upon the sale of your asset?
That's one of the best parts, in my opinion, is the flexibility. No, you do not need to invest your entire sale price into a structured installment sale. So I'd say most people that are selling real estate or a business, they're going to take a portion of that sale proceeds and just take it in year one and say, I'm going to pay taxes on it, but I need this money for some liquidity. Maybe we're, going on a trip or doing some renovations to the house, whatever it may be. Give it to my financial advisor, put it into the market. So you get to decide how much you want to take in year one, how much you want to defer out to the future. So it's incredibly flexible. And, having those conversations with the seller, the buyer, and the CPAs, you can create some pretty elaborate and customized payment schedules that are really going to fit within a specific seller's tax profile.
So, just out of curiosity, is there a sequence or a timeline that is pretty common when it comes to the payment structure?
It really depends because it depends on when obviously what the basis of the asset is. So when the business or property was bought, what you're selling it for. I'd say most people are looking to get their payments between 4 and 10 years. And that's going to give you some pretty nice tax savings. There, you do have the availability to get really creative with this. And this is a wild example. Most people wouldn't do it, but if you're looking at estate planning purposes, you can sell an asset and not take your first payment for up to 50 years, believe it or not. So you imagine again, this really estate planning comes to mind. If you're looking at creating generational wealth for kids and grandkids, you've got a property, an investment property that a family doesn't need anymore. You sell that and put it into an investment that's going to earn compounding interest pre-tax for 50 years. That's going to be quite a present for your future heirs. So incredibly flexible, but most people are looking at more of a short-term horizon.
Yeah, flexibility is key. So are there structures or guidelines or rules around how you structure the periodic payments?
Very, very few. I mean, with the newer carriers that are coming into the market and the newer products that are available that you can put the proceeds into, we can create pretty much any plan that someone's looking to do. There are, depending on which carrier you choose, they're all going to have their specific rules and regulations, but we work with the client to make sure that first we know what they want to do, and then we kind of work backwards to make that plan work with the tools that we have available and the partners we have available.
So before I actually commit to this process, is there anything that I should know?
So I think the biggest thing that people need to know is that you're creating a payment schedule for the future. So I've said it a bunch of times, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. Once you lock into that payment schedule, it cannot be changed. The product is set up to where that payment schedule is final. So when you're deciding how you want this set up, you just have to be aware this money that I'm putting away for the next 7, 8, 9 years, I'm not going to be able to touch. So we want to make sure that the plan we put together fits within that model and that you've put enough money to the side that it's not going to be an issue that you can't touch that money.
All right, if somebody watching takes away one thing from this video about structured installment sales, what should it be?
I think the one thing to take away is this is something that if you want to do it, it's a great tool, it's a great plan, but it's something that you want to start utilizing and looking at early. One piece of the structured installment sale is the buyer is going to have to sign on to this. There's really just a few forms they need to fill out. They need to agree to be part of the transaction, but it's not something you want to bring up right before closing and certainly not after closing. Once closing is finished, once escrow has released all the money, you cannot do a structured installment sale. So if you're looking to list a property, looking to list a business, the best time to start the planning is when you list the business to make sure that potential buyers are aware that you want to do it and have time to vet it and have their representatives take a look at it and make sure they're comfortable with it.
Well, thanks for coming on, John. This is super helpful. We appreciate it. And if you're interested in contacting John about structured installment sales, we'll have his contact info listed in the description below. And any questions come up, feel free to reach out to us at Pacific Wealth Management or John directly, and we'll be able to help you with anything needed around the structured installment sale as you consider this as a process of something that might be helpful for you. Thanks a lot.